Good afternoon and welcome to Orient Live. It's a sold out one here at the Bro Group Stadium as we take on Dave Challoner's Hartlepool. And I'm of course joined by Brendan Pitcher, and don't be worried, it might just be the two of us, but we've got a jam-packed show for you this afternoon. We're going to be joined by Orient legend Peter Kitchen at half-time, as we'll be doing the Orient Lotto, and Paul Smith will also be joining us before the game, as well as Hartlepool journo Dominic Skur. So make sure you stick around to catch all of that. And Brendan, it's a big one today. It's a sold-out Bro Group Stadium, and Orient are going to be desperate for a win.
Yeah, it's a perfect opportunity to kind of get the season going again, because it's a bit of stuttering form. It's not been perfect. It's been a lot of draws. The goal scoring is going to be the issue, and it's if Kenny can find the balance between, because defensively we've been excellent. If we can find the balance and go be a bit better going forward, then we're going to be a good team in this division. I think today, hopefully, is going to be the day where we find that balance and get it right going forward.
And we've seen earlier in the season at games such as Exeter and Bradford, the atmosphere was electric. There's going to be even more fans today, and hopefully some goals that we haven't seen for a while might really ignite them a sold out crowd.
Yeah, Kenny always insists, whenever you hear him in interviews, he says the crowd makes a big difference, and they're going to play a part today, and hopefully that will make the difference. But as you say, like it's not disastrous. Defensively, we're one of the best teams in the league. If you look at the stats, we've conceded the least amount of shots from open play out of anyone in the division. But if you look going forward, we've only taken the second least shots out of anyone in the division. So it's just about getting that balance right, whether we can take a little bit off the defence and be a little bit more adventurous, because that's all it's going to take, and we'll be a top side again. Well,
hopefully you're right, Brendan, and of course Kenny has made a couple of changes ahead of today's game against Hartlepool to hopefully get back to winning ways. And let's take a look at the starting lineup for the O's this afternoon. So the two changes, with Hector Kyprianou and Ruel Satiriou stepping out the team in place of Aaron Drinan and Craig Clay. And the full starting 11 in goal: number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux; number 2, Tom James; number 8, Craig Clay; number 9 up top, Harry Smith; number 10, Dan Kemp; number 11, Theo Archibald; number 15, Alex Mitchell; number 16, Aaron Drinan; number 18, and the captain this afternoon, Darren Pratley; number 19, Omar Beckles; and 25, Shad Oji. And on the subs bench, Reece Byrne, Wood, Riley, Happy, Omatoye, Satiriou and Kyprianou. So just the two changes for the O's to this starting 11, but of course Callum Riley does take his place back on the bench. And Brendan, are you surprised by the two changes? It's a new look front two for Kenny, and that must signify that he's hoping for a bit more of a free scoring side.
Yeah, I think Aaron Drinan can probably consider himself a little bit unlucky in recent weeks, in that he had a good start to the season playing as a striker when Harry Smith wasn't quite fit, and then he kind of got pushed out to the wing when Harry Smith came back in. And I think today he'll play more centrally, which hopefully should suit him and should kind of help replicate some of his form towards the start of the season, because like we've seen, we haven't been scoring enough goals recently, and Kenny's looking for that kind of strike partner that can suit Harry Smith, and maybe Aaron Drinan can be the one to do that.
As much as he's looking for that partnership, he's also going to be wanting that competitiveness between his strikers. We've seen a whole host of different options over the past few games, and we haven't really managed to click too well. We've seen Aaron Drinan and the goals he can score. He's a finisher, and it is a Harry Smith hasn't scored for a while either, so it's a bit of whichever striker can get amongst the goals and cement that striker place for themselves. There's always going to be that battle within the squad.
Yeah, definitely. There's good competition for places, despite the fact that we haven't scored recently. But there's still a lot of good attacking options. And I think today Smith and Drinan might suit each other's game a little bit, because we haven't seen obviously the best of Harry Smith recently. And I think Aaron Drinan is a little bit more physical than someone like Ruel or Paul Smith, and hopefully he'll take a bit of the physical burden off Harry Smith, because at times I think he's been kind of one trying to do everything in terms of hold-up play, and he's had like a man like Paul Smith or Ruel running off of him. Aaron Drinan, a bit more physical, can hold the ball up a little bit better, but also he's quick and can run in behind. So maybe it will be the right, like we speak about getting the right balance, maybe that's the right balance in terms of those two going forward today.
And Dan Kemp behind them will be massively important in them to have enjoyed success. He's looked good in the last couple of games that he's come in, and he's going to be key for the creativity this afternoon and making them chances for the strike partners.
Yeah, he's the one that kind of joins it up, doesn't he? You have the two almost sitters in there, which today will be Pratley and Craig Clay, and then the two strikers, and then Dan Kemp is the one that kind of flits in between the two. We'll be looking to pick up the ball in pockets, get on the turn, slide balls in, hopefully look to the wing backs, and I think he's got a big role to play today, and hopefully it'll be a big afternoon for him.
Hopefully so, and the other change, of course, has come in midfield with Craig Clay coming in. Do you think he brings a bit more energy to this Orient side, a little bit more tenacity? Yeah,
look, I'm a big fan of Hector Cipriano. He's a massive talent, but probably hasn't had his best few games recently, and might be a good thing to just get him out of the side for a little bit, give him a little bit of a rest, and then with Craig Clay, you know what you're going to get. He's solid, he's experienced, he's a kind of a 7 out of 10 man. He's always going to perform to a certain level, and I think Kenny rates that, because you've got to have trust in your players, and I think in terms of kind of trying to get a good run of form together, players like that are so important in their consistency.
Absolutely, and it's been 4 draws in a row now. The last time I think we drew 6 in a row back in 1974. That shows just how kind of far back we have to look to see how far this has gone on for, really. How big is a win for Kenny and the boys today? Because it could go one of either ways. Obviously, we're undefeated for a little while, but we need to start turning those draws into wins, don't we? Yeah,
look, if we're going to be an automatic promotion contender, like I think a lot of the expectations are this season, then you've got to start winning games, obviously, and today could be a turning point. It's a sold-out Brisbane Road, that's going to make a difference. Hartlepool, not to be disrespected, but they're a side where if you're looking at a kind of a promotion push at home in front of a sold-out crowd, you're probably looking at, especially off the back of recent draws, this is almost kind of a game you need to be winning.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to be joined by Dominic Skerr very shortly to talk through the Hartlepool team. But just looking at that back five before we move on, Brendan, it's got Theo Archibald out on the left side of the fullback position again. How did you feel that worked last week?
It was difficult for him. I think he did okay going forward, but I think he got that book in the first half, and that kind of killed him a little bit, because you have that thing where he's playing in an unnatural position and then he's on a yellow card, and I don't think Kenny really wanted to gamble with him, and I think that affects his play himself, because he's not going to be as kind of on the front foot, because he'd be worried about getting caught out of position and having to make another foul. So that kind of affected him. So hopefully he can stay booking free today. But I'm a fan of the move, because I think he's an attacking threat from left wing back. It's a positive move, and it gives us a little something extra from that left wing back position. So hopefully, after a game where he's kind of tried it out last weekend, we've had a whole week in training to work on it even further. Hopefully it's a really good performance from him today.
Hopefully so, and hopefully Theo will show exactly what he can offer at that left wing back position. And we caught up with him earlier in the week, so let's hear from him as well as the manager, Kenny Jackett.
Theo, last time out was a 0-0 draw with Stevenage. What was your thoughts on the match?
Again, I thought we defended pretty well, quite resolute at the back, as we have been this month. It's just not really worked out for us at the top end of the pitch, and that's what we're working on. We worked on it last week in training predominantly, and we did the same again this week. I do think in the last couple of games, Stevenage and Forest Green in the week, that there was a bit more fluidity in the sort of middle third of the pitch, which maybe was lacking at the beginning of the month. We just need to sort of put the pieces together a little bit, and I don't think we're far off, to be honest. I think we can still take confidence from the first sort of 8 to 10 games that we were attacking pretty well. It's not quite dropped for us at the minute. A little bit of luck sometimes required as well, which we've not had with referees and different things. But we need to look at ourselves, and we need to sort of put the ball in the back of the net, to be honest, and that's what we're practicing, and I think we're all pretty confident going into the weekend that we can turn that around.
Yeah, obviously we want to go one better than where we've been. We're frustrated with the draws that we've had. We understand that in a lot of those games we've had a solid base, we've been competitive, but we're looking for more than that, and we don't want to lose our defensive solidity. That 12 goals in 14 games is a really good record, but then going forward we need more cohesion. We do feel like we need more composure on the ball, right pass at the right time, and then ultimately create the chances that we can finish. So be as solid as we are, being as competitive as we are, hard to beat. All of those qualities are really good. Build on those, see if we can get back to, being incisive in front of goal, because we've lost that in recent weeks.
We're delighted to be joined now by Dominic Skerr, journalist at the Hartlepool Mail. Dominic, a big away game for you and Hartlepool this afternoon, and you're looking for only your second away win of the campaign.
Yeah, definitely. It's been tough on the road for Hartlepool this season, just a one away win, but that did come last time out against Bradford, 3-1. Really impressive performance, so hoping to build on a bit of momentum from there. Beat Harrogate at home last weekend, looking for that third straight win in League Two, which is something they haven't done since 2016. So big game for Hartlepool.
And you did have a little break out of the Football League, similar to us. I think we went down in the same season even. And how have you found it being back in League Two again? You've got a fresh, good manager in Dave Challoner. How's it been since you've come back up?
It's been great. I think better than anyone would have expected, really. As a newly promoted team, you just want to consolidate, and I think that remains the target, get to 50 points as soon as possible. But I think Hartlepool, the way they've started, particularly at home, winning pretty much every home game in and around the playoff places after 14 games, I think it's taken everyone by surprise, and it shows the team maybe is carrying on the momentum they built up towards the back end of last season. And it's great to be back in the Football League. I think being in the National League last year without fans has really gave the Hartlepool fans a new lease of life, and we'll see this afternoon very well backed.
Well, hopefully they don't have anything to cheer about this afternoon. And let's take a look at the side that Dave Challoner has opted for to try and maintain that recent good form that they've been in. So in goal for Hartlepool, number 35, Jonathan Mitchell. Number 3, David Ferguson. 4, Gary Liddell. 8, and their captain, Nicky Featherstone. 9, Mark Cullen. Number 10, Luke Molyneux. 14, Gavin Holohan. Number 20, Regan Ogle. Number 20, Zane Francis and goal. Number 27, Luke Hendry. And 28, Matty Daly. And on the subs bench, Killip, Odesina, Shelton, Gray, Jones, Crawford and Fondop. And how does this side differ to the one of your last couple of good results, Dominic?
Yeah, there's 3 changes from the Harrogate game. We see Gary Liddell come back in, who's a really important player for Hartlepool, 35 years old, a real veteran, been promoted twice with Hartlepool over his career, so a real fan favourite, and the team tend to look a lot better with him at the heart of defence. So he's come back in for Neil Byrne, who's out suspended. Jamie Sterry, who's a really important player, right wing back, he's out injured, so Regan Ogle comes back in. Only his second league start for Hartlepool, but the last 2 games he's come off the bench and grabbed 2 assists, so he'll be looking to build on a couple of positive performances. And we've seen Mark Shelton drop out as well, and Zane Francis Angle come back in, so it's prompted a change in formation back to a 3-5-2, which is something Hartlepool play quite traditionally under Dave Challoner, but they have swapped it the past 2 games to more of a 4-3-3, but we're back to 3-5-2 this afternoon.
And talk to me a little about Mark Cullen. He's a striker who Orient fans probably have seen play in League Two before, joined this summer I believe, and he's hit form recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's really the first we've seen of Mark Cullen, to be honest. He's injured throughout pre-season, hamstring injury, never really got going in terms of the league, limited to 1 or 2 substitute appearances, played in the Papa John's Trophy, and he started the last 2 games, his only 2 starts this season, and scored 3 goals. So from a Hartlepool perspective, who were struggling for goals, couldn't ask for much more from him.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dom, and hopefully you won't be a happy man at 5 o'clock this afternoon either, but we really appreciate you coming on. Now, Paul Smith is unfortunately not in the starting 11, but he is up here and ready to talk to us and hear how he's been getting on in the treatment room lately. But now it's time for a short video.
No family should have to face the task of looking after a seriously ill child all alone. So we're here. We are Haven House. We know that we can't change a child's diagnosis, but we are here to help make it easier to cope with. So we're here to help our families have a better quality of life and to make the most of the precious time they have together. We're here with round-the-clock care at our hospice.
Hello!
And we're here with help at home too.
So nice to see you, gorgeous.
We're here with specialist nursing for seriously ill children. We are Haven House. And without your support, we wouldn't be here at all. Thank you so much for helping us be there for families going through the toughest of times.
We're absolutely delighted now to be joined by Orient forward Paul Smith. Paul, thank you so much for joining us, and first of all, sorry that you are here really. Back in the injury room, and what's happened there? You had a couple of good chances back from your injury at the beginning of the season. Was there a little nick in one of the games that you came back in?
Yeah, I came back into the 4th screen game, feeling good, feeling fresh, and just come up with a little niggle on my left hamstring, my other side now. Physios were saying it's very common when it comes to having a long-term injury in your right hamstring. it's always common that your left hamstring goes a little bit, which it did. So I'm a 1B, which isn't too bad. It could have been worse if I had to try to plough on and continue on. But I pulled out early and I caught it at the right time. So I'll be back hopefully for the FA Cup game on Saturday.
That's good. So do you feel it's now a case of kind of just building up that fitness, getting both hamstrings back to that full strength and just really being able to get back and put a stamp on the team of what you're about and what you can offer since you joined?
Yeah, 100%. I came here with good intentions to do well and try and get the boys promoted and try and get the club pushed up and into the League One, but it's been terrible at the start of the season for me with injuries, so hopefully I can just get everything right now and work on getting up there and getting the boys up the table and scoring goals. I enjoy scoring goals and just not being out there watching the boys play and watching the game from a fan perspective. You can see things that you could do in different positions and be in a better place maybe. For me, that's what I do, and it's just frustrating not being able to do it.
And from an outsider's perspective though, not being on the pitch, how's it been kind of being part of the dressing room and being part of the training ground and obviously coming in fresh and we've not had a bad season, only lost 2, so must be a good feel around, but just must be itching to get involved and on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean the boys are frustrated not picking up 3 points in certain games that you're drawing 0-0s and 1-1s. We had really good chances against Stevenage. Watched the game. Big Harry Smith 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. Theo had a couple of chances. Like we've chances there. I mean it's not like we're not creating chances. It's just the run of luck that we're having at the minute. At least we're not losing because the back line has been fantastic and so is Luz. So hopefully we can keep on. Forward line will get a couple of goals today and push us up 3 points.
And we've got a sold-out crowd here today at Brisbane Road. As a player, how much of a difference do you think that can make to the side?
Massive. I mean, the fans are always massive in football in general. You've seen with COVID and not playing behind closed doors, it seemed like, and no fans are to push you on when you're in the dirt and say you're 1-0 down and you need that fan's edge to push you on, and not having that through COVID was difficult. But now with a full crowd today, hopefully everyone turns out. 9,000 fans will be brilliant atmosphere, hopefully.
Absolutely. And just going back to you said about that feeling of frustration around the place, there was obviously a lot of new faces coming in, yourself being one of them, as well as Kenny and his staff. It must feel as though that there is something building here, and especially with the support we've got and the direction we're going, it must feel like there's something that we can really build on and make a success of this season. Yeah,
I mean Kenny came in, he's a great manager. He at Portsmouth, he got Wolves promoted from League One into the Championship. He was doing very well with Portsmouth. And here he's doing well here. He's got a structure, he wants the way we play. He's got us for the 3-5-2, and if we need to change for a plan B, we can go through 4-3-3. So I think he has all the different formations for us to tune in, and he works on them in training, and we're all tuned into it. So anyone that comes off the bench and goes into the same place that someone else is filling in, they'll fill in, they'll do the exact same job. And it's just about, again, we create so many chances, it's just putting them away, and hopefully today we can do that.
Amazing. Hopefully we do that today, and hopefully you'll be back in the starting 11 and doing that soon yourself as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Paul. And now we are going to take another look at our starting 11 for this afternoon's game against Hartlepool. So in goal, number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. Number 2, Tom James. Number 8, Craig Clay. Number 9, Harry Smith. Number 10, Dan Kemp. 11, Theo Archibald. 15, Alex Mitchell. 16, Aaron Drinnan. 18, and captain Darren Pratley. Number 19, Omar Beckles. 25, Shad Oji. And on the subs bench, Reece Byrne, Connor Wood, Callum Riley, Dan Happy, Tyrese Omotoye, Ruel Satiriou, and Hector Kiprianou. It's a little bit of a shame that there's no Paul Smith in that lineup today, Brendan. Even just talking there, he's obviously desperate to get back in and amongst the goals, and it will be a welcome bit of electricity when we do see him back in the starting 11, won't it? Yeah,
it's been such a stop-start season for him. We saw him in pre-season and he looked a great player for us, and he was kind of, I've just said it before, he looks like the marquee signing if you look at his pedigree and where he's come from. He's a Northern Ireland international, and to lose him for that period of time and then to get him back and then for him to go away with Northern Ireland, it's frustrating, but next week is the perfect opportunity, I think. Ebbsfleet at home in the FA Cup. Hopefully he can get some minutes under his belt and come back fit and firing to help us in the league campaign.
And where do you see that energy coming from today for the O's? Because we know Ruel Satiriou can pull a moment of magic out of nowhere. He's on the bench today. No Paul Smith, obviously. In this Orient side, where do you see that little sparkle of magic coming from?
I think it's a big afternoon for the two wing-backs. I think Theo Archibald started the season amazingly, was probably our best player at the start of the season. Got a little bit off the ball recently. Hopefully his new wing-back role suit him. He can get some space down the left and drive on. And then also Tom James, I think when we moved to a wing-back system, he was our best player for me. He was doing fantastic stuff from right wing-back. last few games, again, I think teams might have kind of worked out that he's a very good crosser with the ball and they don't give him as much time as perhaps he had. But if we can start getting him in areas where he gets a bit of time and he can deliver a ball, then you're going to get opportunities for people like Harry Smith and Aaron Drennan, and hopefully that can be the difference in us turning some of these draws into wins today.
And looking at those fullbacks that you mentioned just there, it's now 2 games that they've started with those 2 fullbacks. The middle 3 has been consistent for a few games now, but I think it's really the first time that we haven't seen a change in the defence with either one of the centre backs coming out or one of our fullbacks. So having that consistency to build on, we have been leaking goals, but we've got a clean sheet to build on last week. How important is that we now kind of really solidify that defence and build on that to win games?
Yeah, we talk about the balance. It's important we don't go too far the other way because Hartlepool are a good side. They score a lot of goals. It's important that we don't just go too gung-ho and go, we need to start scoring goals, let's chuck everyone forward, and then we lose that important defensive record, which has been so good so far this season. So it's about getting that balance right. I think the back 3, OG, Beckles, Mitchell, along with Lawrence Vigouroux, have been our best players over these last few games, and that's reflecting defensive record. And if they can carry on doing that today, then and hopefully it gives us a building block to go on to, and that will give us something to go with today.
Hopefully so. And looking at the opposition then, Hartlepool, how worried are you? They have hit a bit of form recently. They're adjusting to the league where they deserve to be, let's be honest. But how worried are you today? It hangs in the balance quite nicely. It feels like today could go either one of 2 ways.
Yeah, they're on a massive high at the minute. Just got promoted from the EFL. They had that little short break between getting promoted via the playoffs to the season start, and it probably helped them because they've brought the momentum into the new season. They've started really well. Like Dominic said, they're not great away from home apart from recently where they beat Bradford, but beating Bradford away is a great result, so they're going to be looking to change that. And they've got a manager in Dave Challoner, who we know from our time in the National League when he was managing Fylde, that he's an excellent operator at the level, and he's a manager that is going to always have a go. And I might stick my neck out on the line and say I can't see this one being 0-0 because Dave Challoner is going to have a go today.
Hopefully it's not a 0-0. Now, I don't know if you can hear at home, but the applause is ringing round, and the stadium is filling up quite nicely, Brendan. I think Hartlepool have bought 700 with them, and the Bray Group Stadium itself is sold out. So it's got to be an atmosphere building. We're seeing the I believe it's the 17th Battalion Regiment coming out ahead of the pre-match respect that will be shown ahead of Remembrance Day. But it's going to be a big special occasion today, Brendan.
Yeah, definitely. There's not been many times, or I don't think there has been a time since COVID where we've had a sold-out crowd at Brisbane Road. So hopefully they can be the 12th man today. A lot of fans here today, and also Hartlepool bringing 700. It's going to make for a really good atmosphere.
Absolutely. And what do you expect from the O's today? Because a lot of the fans' confidence might be a little bit down with the lack of wins and the lack of goals. But how do you think the O's will approach this?
I think, like I said, it's about getting that balance right. They've got to keep that solidity in defence and then find a way to kind of create a little bit more in attack. And I think, like we've mentioned, the wing backs and people like Dan Kemp are going to be key in that. They've got to stamp their authority on the game early on and give this sold-out crowd something to shout about early on. Absolutely,
and just looking to the subs bench that we've got at our disposal today. Obviously, Raul Satiriu's on there, and we've seen what he can do. But where do you see any other areas where maybe that bench can come and make an impact in the game?
I think the two that have come out, Rel, like we've seen, it can be a super sub. Perhaps maybe he's a little bit more effective off the bench, like we've seen. I think his 2 goals this season have come off the bench in the league. And then you've also got Hector Cipriano, who we know how talented he is, and I think maybe he's played a lot of games recently. Maybe it's just caught up with him a little bit. So bringing him on with half an hour to go to give us a little bit of extra in midfield, that might also make the difference.
And I don't think you were the only fan when you said you don't expect it to be a 0-0. I think no one wants it to be another 0-0, but you do feel that it might be a very evenly balanced contest in the fact that 2 similar formations, and a lot of the teams we've been coming up against this season have that 3/5 at the back. What do you expect from the battle today between the O's and Hartlepool?
Yeah, it's going to be hopefully a real entertaining game is what I expect, and hopefully Orient are going to be the ones to get on top in it.
Well, just taking a look over the side, because obviously you can hear the players coming out and Tijuana taxi rings around the Bray Group Stadium. It's Leyton Orient versus Hartlepool, and it's time to pass over to Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock, but we'll join you at half-time with Peter Kitchen. Come on, you O's!
afternoon and welcome to the Blair Group Stadium, Brisbane Road. It's football for a fiver in the capital, a sellout and what should be a fascinating game. Recent results, including their first victory away from home at Bradford City, has seen Dave Chandler's side rise above Leyton Orient, who've been difficult to beat but are finding goals and wins hard to come by. And an interesting change up front, Matt Hiscock.
Yeah, two changes for the O's, isn't there? Sotiriou and Cipriano drop to the bench. Aaron Drinan and Craig Clay come into the side for the O's. Interesting one with Aaron Drinan. I think he'll be really up for this because he started the campaign ever so well, but he just lost his place in the side. He didn't do a lot wrong, to be fair to him. And he's got his opportunity this afternoon, and I'm sure he'll be absolutely desperate to take it.
There's going to be a presentation at the start of the game. Both sets of players are standing around the centre circle. There's wreaths that have been